there's still a delay, so a 1 minute delay. It's 7:29. Eventually, we'll have all the fancy stuff,
Yeah.
clocks and lead in and music and
We're missing all of that right now. We're just going right into the.
It's 7:30.
that's you know. Well, all right, everyone. All right, welcome. So um, today we're having our Bible study. This is brought to you from Embrace Married Ministries in Life Church. We're grateful that you are with us, for our friends that joined us here, and for those that will be joining online or seeing it later on. So today's lesson is going to be entitled Trust in God and Trust My Spouse. So it's an interesting thing when you talk about trust in this day and age that we live. And the question I want to start off with is, how can I trust in a God that I cannot see and not trust my spouse that I can see? And the scripture reference for today's lesson is going to be in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8. And we're going to be reading out of the New King James Version. And it says, Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It's not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Love never fails. So, just want to start off saying it all starts with trust. Um, you can say you trust somebody, but how much do you really trust that person? And when it comes to um, our trusting with our spouse, what we want to be able to say is, do we have full trust in our spouse? We need to trust God. Yes, obviously, there's no way else about that. If you see there in Proverbs 3:5, that's what we're talking about. We need to trust God first in order to change us to be the couples that God has planned. And that's the whole thing. God has a plan for every couple. You're not going to be the same plan. You're not going to be all, cookie cutters. Every couple is going to have their own blessings, their own um, ministries, their own gifts and talents that God gives us. So we're not going to all look alike, but we're going to have a God planned um, design for us. So in the Bible, we've read the scriptures about we are the clay and He is the potter. So He gets to shape us. He gets to form us and make us His own, not my own. And that's the thing. We get into trouble in marriages because we want to be married, but we want to be the same person we've always been. And we never ever ask, Lord, is there something you want to change in me? Is there something that I need to change? And through the mercy of God, He binds us in love and He binds us together with our spouse. All right, so having a little bit of technical difficulties, the mic sensitivities on the back. So we'll have our production assistant help us out here. But just want to say um, how God makes us, and He makes us equally yoked. That's the thing. One of the things that my wife and I learned, sometimes we say, or we learn, all the don'ts. We grow up in church, and they tell us, well, don't do that, don't go there, don't behave this, don't do that, and we're left with a lot of don'ts, but we don't have a lot of do's. So the Bible tells us, don't be unequally yoked. And a lot of people don't understand that reference because we're not farmers. We're not on the field. We're not understanding what a yoke is. A yoke is basically a wooden structure that binds two farm animals, like some cows or some horses, and makes them so that they're pulling a plow. You have twice the power. But those animals, if they're not yoked, they'll pull in different directions, and you're not going to get to plow very well. Well, as couples, we need to make sure that we are equally yoked. And that's where our lessons pretty much are focused on, being equally yoked. And when we're together, we're able to move forward, we're able to advance, we're able to create, we're able to plan and be successful in our marriages. So one of the things is, you have a man and you have a woman. You have the masculinity and the femininity. And sometimes we seem to want to pull in different directions. It may not be always, total different directions, but we're not pulling together. And that's one of the problems. And our enemy, he's very sneaky. Our enemy, and I was praying about this and asking God to show me how do he work. And he basically told me this: the enemy will come and just drop a little bit of doubt, a seed of doubt in your ear. And that's it. He walks away. He doesn't worry that doubt will not grow. He knows it grows, because that's the challenge we have in establishing trust, is to overcome the seeds of doubt. So when you're, all in love with your spouse, but then the enemy comes and just drop. Well, how do you really know your spouse is faithful? And so there we are. Now we're in a mad tailspin. We're doubting our spouse, and our spouse is so happy because they're in love and everything's going good. But that one spouse got that little seed of doubt put in their face, and now they're like, or in their ear, and I don't know what to do. This is what we need to understand. I no longer pull my way. I no longer do the way I used to always do it. And this is one of the key concepts in marriage. When you get married, you can't just say, well, she's just going to be hitched to me and she's going to have to learn to do things my way. Well, guess what? She has the same concept. So then you're pulling in different directions. You're not equally yoked. So we have to be cognizant of that and be aware of it. We need to listen to the call of God and understand this. In marriages, there's so many people that struggle for the simple reason that they don't want to yield. And part of trust is yielding. When somebody says, I trust you that you will do this, I trust that you will do it, you have to yield your trust. You have to yield that ability to trust somebody. So that's one of the difficult things. No more tug of war, no more pulling aside. You got to pull together. How do we pull together? Well, in the Bible it says we press towards the mark of the high calling of Christ in our marriage and with our relationship with Jesus. How do we press forward to that? Well, we have to do it together. We have to realize, I may have a grand dream, but my spouse is not with it. My spouse is not part of that dream. And so I'm pulling on my own tangent, and my spouse is going to be saying, oh, where do I fall into that plan? So sometimes we have to pray and say, Lord, is this tangent that I have really what you want us to do? And if it's not what you want us to do, then we have to reel in those ideas, those tangents that we want to take off on, so that we can have a successful marriage that is equally yoked and moving and pulling forward. We're moving towards that high calling of Christ. So we pull together. And that's the thing is you can be having different opinions or different ideas, maybe goals. We have to learn to work together. Imagine, if you will, if you have people who don't agree on pretty much anything, but they say, but we're in love. It's hard pressed to believe that those two individuals are going to be equally yoked and pulling in the same direction when they have no similarities, no similar goals. And it's not that one's right and the other's wrong. It's just sometimes you have to give up certain things, certain ideas, certain, even dreams that you've always had. Maybe you have to put them on hold. Not saying that you'll never do them, but maybe not right now. Your marriage needs to come first. And that's where we get to the part that's interesting. Conflict in a marriage, believe it or not, can be healthy when when you have two ideas or two mindsets that clash due to creativity. And let me explain it. You may cross your paths, but they just cross and they never come together. They never stay together. They just crisscross and that's it. Because you have one person who wants to do music, and the other person wants to build a building. They cross eventually somewhere, but they never stay together. It's different when you have creative ideas and a mindset. We're going to work together. And maybe your paths don't exactly intersect, but they run congruently. In other words, if you know that you're working towards an ideal together, and maybe one of the partners is doing one part of it, the other partner is doing something else, it may seem like they're totally different things, but that's because not everybody knows what that couple is planning. But behind the scenes, they've already formulated their plan, and somebody's building a foundation. Well, somebody's ordering parts. Somebody's gonna get somebody to put it together, and somebody's gonna later on. All these steps will come together, and before you know it, you have a very successful marriage because you planned together, you worked together, and you were equally yoked in how you put forth your marriage and how you presented it to God. Now, conflict that is not healthy in a marriage, well, that's when there's different wills. Where, again, somebody wants to go off and, they are, the adrenaline junkie. They just, adrenaline and adrenaline, and you have somebody else who just likes to chill. Does not, wants to be their own person and relax. Those paths have different wills, and it's going to be very difficult for them to come together. That conflict, because they're going to be at odds. They don't like to come together. They don't like to enjoy creativity. And recently we had the paint date with the couples, and it was a beautiful thing to see. A lot of couples struggle because they're like, well, I'm not a good painter. I've never done this. I don't know how to do it. You know what? We had creative difficulties. But you know what? We all learned to just follow the instruction. And we all participated. We all put our effort into it. And we ended up with two beautiful paintings that by themselves, they still look nice. But when you put them together, now that painting is a whole different piece of art. Again, conflict in a marriage. Sometimes somebody wants to be a little bit, they're push forward, and the other one's like, okay, I'm getting there, but you're going down the same path, which is what you want. As opposed to saying, one wants to go forward and one wants to go left. It's you're not equally yoked, it's going to be a challenge. So somewhere down the line, you're going to have to be equally yoked in order for your marriage to be successful. You want to have opportunities for growth. You want to have opportunities for success. You want to see things of your plans that come to fruition, and some of your plans start to develop. That's what makes it exciting in the marriage, because all of your effort, all your struggles, all your sacrifices that you do, they're coming together. So a healthy marriage includes trust and faith. You trust your spouse. And I've learned this. It's not something that was easy for me. I had to learn this. To trust my wife, even when I knew that she had no idea what I was trying to tell her. And whose fault was that? That was my fault, because I didn't explain to her ahead of time. Most of the times, it's lack of communication, lack of clarity, because sometimes we will say a lot or we speak a lot, but we really don't say much, or it's not very well understood. God speaks to us in a very small, still voice, and he does that with a purpose. He wants us literally to sit down, slow down, and to be patient, because ultimately he's the Alpha, the Omega. He's the beginning, the end. He's been there before we came about, and he's already there in heaven. And it's hard for us to understand those concepts, but he's already with us in heaven. But at this moment, in February 27th, he's with us right now too. And he sees our struggles, he sees our worries, he sees our concerns. But on the other side, he's already saying, yeah, but you're going to make it. I know, because you're already here with me in heaven. And that's why God is more about patience. I know you're going to make it. And we are like, well, how do I know? It's trust. If we can trust a God who is preparing a place for us in glory, then, my goodness, I can certainly trust my spouse. And I have faith in God because I've seen God work. I have testimonies of what God has done in my life, not just in the Word of God, but in my own life. I've seen God move. I've seen him answer prayers. I've seen him do miracles where it's only God. So if I can see that, then I can also do that with my spouse. And I can tell you, it's this year my wife and I are going to celebrate 30 years of marriage. It has not been easy. There's been times where my goals, my dreams had to be reined in. It had to be brought in because it wasn't time yet. And learning to be equally yoked and to pull together, it's a challenge. It's not easy. But I'm here as a witness to let you know as well, my goodness, it has been such a blessing. It has been so sweet. It's been something that I look back over the years and I say, wow, Lord, only a God who loves me could have planned and prepared something so marvelous for me. Only God could have done that. So, yes, in your marriage, you're going to have a rich debate. You're going to have creative differences. Those are good things, because that's where God is able to weave the masculinity and the femininity. It'll come together. And one of the things that is most important is that when you see a refined marriage, and what I mean by that is, my wife and I, we love to see new married couples, because you can see the new married couples, they're still a little bit raw around the edges. They haven't quite got their footings, but they're so in love with each other, and there's so much potential there. My wife and I will look at them and just do some people watching, and we kind of have a little twinkle in our eye, because it reminds us of us. And it helps us to realize, what, they're gonna make it, because the same God that we serve is the same God they serve, and we're here to encourage one another. So we have shared goals in our marriage. We have a shared will, and it's going to bring shared accomplishments that we have. So I just want to encourage every one of you, take time in your marriage, take time with your spouse, speak about your trust and your levels of trust. And if there's some items that need to work on them. Really want to encourage you, work with your spouse to have that level of trust at its highest, because it helps you not only in your marriage, but it also helps you in your walk with God. Because again, if you can trust your spouse, that is a gift from God, then by all means it makes it so much easier when you get into those situations of life where your faith will be trusted, it'll be tested. Your faith's going to be tested by the enemy, and you know what, you're going to make it. You're going to make it. I'm here to tell you, you're going to make it. So I just want to encourage you. We'll be sharing the notes, or posting some of the references here of this Bible study. We want to encourage everyone, subscribe to this channel. We're going to be doing our Bible studies as frequently as we can. Right now, we're looking at probably once a month. Check in periodically. We'll be having some other items coming up. We'll be posting or making available a prayer email or chat that you can just drop in your prayer requests. Every couple that's part of Embrace that's watching this, know that we're praying for you, and that we want to see God move in your marriage and make you more blessed, not just materially, but spiritually, and so that you can see the hand of God moving in your marriage. So that's all that we have for today. Grateful that you were able to join us, and if you're seeing this later on, keep praying for us. Again, this is Embrace Married's Ministry. We're part of Life Church. We're located, our church is at 2295 East Fremont Street in Stockton, California. We meet every Sunday at 9 a.m. We'd love for you to join us and come and join our growing congregation. And if you have any questions about this channel or our married ministries, send us an email and we'll get in touch with you as soon as we can. So that's it for now.